Hello, film fans. Welcome to All the Film Things. I'm your host, Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and a rating. Also follow All the Film Things on Instagram for updates and more film things. For today's episode, the first analytical episode of the year, might I excitedly add, we will be talking about one of my very favorite films. No, it's not celebrating an anniversary. There's really no specific reason to talk about it today, except that we want to, and this episode has been in the works for some time. Today, we are talking about Wim Wenders' 1987 romantic fantasy film, Wings of Desire, starring Bruno Ganz and Otto Sander. Joining me is writer-director Bassel Jadaa and actor Melissa Lindsey. Bassel, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Now,
My pleasure.
what was that?
I'm so sorry. My phone just told me it's pleasure for having me. I thought I did turn it on silent, but I can't believe that just happened.
It's so funny.
I'm gonna zip that up and slide it over there.
All right.
Anyway, that was fun.
That was very fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us today.
As for context, we all know each other from Film Bar, which is the same place I met Adam Madrid, who I interviewed in the last episode. And Bassel, you and I have talked about this film, and we've been planning to do an episode on Wings of Desire for like a year or so now. So I'm so thrilled to finally have both of you on to discuss this masterpiece.
A year you've been planning this.
A year.
A year in the making, yes.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of it.
Yes, I'm so happy that you wanted to watch the film. You were interested in watching the film.
Oh, yeah. I have a really hard time watching new things, to be honest.
Okay.
It's one of those anxiety things. And so I've been trying to get better at that actively,
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned that movie and I looked it up and I was so interested in it, and then you asked me to do this with you, and so it just, it all came together very nicely. I always need some encouragement to, branch out of what I normally do, and this movie definitely, it was, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
There's not many words that I'm really happy that you even suggested it.
Yay. Oh,
–
I'm so curious your perspective, because this was your first time watching it. Bassel and I have seen it a few times. So I'm, first of all, so jealous that you got to see it with fresh eyes for the first time. That experience the first time is so special. I know, Bassel, you hold this film in high regard. So first of all, I would love for everyone to share their recollections of first watching the film. But I want to end with you, Melissa, because you have the very new perspective.
So, first of all, I'm so glad you picked this topic, Wings of Desire.
Yes.
It's literally my favorite film.
Oh.
When I first saw it many, many years ago in the theater, there were only about 5 people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got into this because I was in film school.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it very inspirational, especially since I was in my early creative stage, trying to create and write experimental work, film in those days, doing short films in school, experimenting with ideas. And when I saw this film, I thought, wow, how come most Americans are not making this type of film?
Yeah.
How come it came from a country that is still struggling economically? That's West Germany in those days.
Yep.
This film was, I believe, started 1986, and I think was completed in 87, released in 87.
It was made in 86, 87, I believe. No, it was released 87 for Cannes, and then it was released in the US in 88, May 88. Yeah.
Very good, very good. So I have lots of things to talk about. It just depends what you wanted to say, if I can start in the beginning. What I love about this film is the very beginning imagery that you see. It starts with a poem. Mm-hmm. When a child was a child, I walked with its arms swinging. I wanted the stream to be a river, the river a torrent, and this puddle to be the sea. I thought that was so poetic. It goes on from there, but you'll have to watch the film. But I thought, what a way to open up a film.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white, you see these angels examining the world beyond them. They're on top of buildings, high rises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. In fact, one of the opening scenes is with the view of the clouds and then a close-up of a singular eye. Then we see the angel overlooking, one of the angels overlooking the city with a very sort of
like a melancholy,
thank you, music.
Yes.
He's all of this. This film is so complicated to explain because it's so multi-layered.
Yes, it is.
And one of the interesting things when I started seeing the montage of various parts of the city, you see people on a bus or a train, and you see people walking, you see them in an apartment, but especially the urban side immediately took me back to a film I had seen in college, and it was all about Berlin. I believe it was shot either in 20s or the 1930s. I researched it briefly. There was a reference to it, that film, although it never makes a reference in this film about it. But I believe one of those films, silent film with music of Berlin, the city, and just people doing their business in the city. It just seemed for part of the initial part was a homage to that film,
like reminiscent of something before.
So a lot of filmmakers who are very artistic, they pay homage to something else. It could be a painter paying homage to an earlier era, or it could be a writer, paying homage to an earlier period in life.
Yeah. And actually, Wim Wenders his films feel so original because he doesn't often use inspirations from film. He uses inspirations from paintings and photographs. So it makes it a wholly original film, I think. And his films are like Wings of Desire. It's like nothing else. There is one film that, in its essence, I feel like is similar, Ikiru by Akira Kurosawa, in that it's like heartbreaking and it's devastating, and then something beautiful arises from it. When it shifts, it's like the most incredible film, and it just elevates it in a very rare way that only some of the greats could do.
What was the movie?
Ikiru.
Well, I definitely haven't seen it, but
Japanese film.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'll need you to make me a list, Elizabeth.
Oh, I can. People request that. It's an honor to be requested that.
I would take a list from you.
Oh, I'll make one. This is great. So the first time I saw this film, it was after it was mentioned twice, and one was an interview, my first wide-released episode actually, interviewing film historian Max Alvarez. He actually interviewed Wim Wenders, and he couldn't think of the name of Wings of Desire, so I suggested it. And then when I was on set, like the week or so before, I was talking with this excellent cinematographer, Harry Aaron, about Paris, Texas, and he couldn't think of Wings of Desire's name either, so I said it. And then I just felt like, well, I think it's time that I watch Wings of Desire. I've been so curious about it. So it was like a Friday night, and I just was like watching it with my eyes open wide, and then I don't know which correct way to say it.
Yeah, both are good.
Both are good, thank you. And my jaw was dropped, like,
you were captivated.
I was so captivated because that's just rare, like to see a film and just be so in awe of what you're watching, especially like it was started especially to me when in the plane scene, in the opening scene, that's when I understood what it was doing with all the thoughts following with the camera. The angel is the camera, and then we're following with all these different thoughts. The child recognizes him. We see Peter Falk very early on and all these other people and their thoughts. And I just thought it was so beautiful, and I have never seen anything like it. So from then on, I just became in love with this film, boasting about it to anyone who will listen. And it's so exciting that I get to talk about it today. And I brought my DVD of Wings of Desire, which I actually got to celebrate the first wide release episode of the podcast being out. So
fantastic.
I got this as a little gift to myself.
The image is amazing, the poster image that they used for the film. Do you want to describe it?
The famous image. It's very beginning of the film when Damiel is on the ledge of the building and he's looking down, and then we soon see a shot of a child looking up from down below and then up at the angel.
Because children can't see the angels, like in all the fables.
Yes. It's probably the most famous shot of the film. It's stunning. It's one of the most memorable scenes, but Melissa, you just watched this for the first time.
Yes. Well, so I will say too, like from the beginning, when I first saw that scene, I was like, of course, you're wondering what is going on in the beginning, kind of like for the first at least like 7 or so minutes, maybe, because it's just this montage of people's inner monologues. And you're not really and at first I didn't really get what was happening. And then I realized it was, it's everyone's inner monologue. It's all their inner thoughts. And that part, even just when I realized that, kind of like broke me in a way.
Yeah.
Because especially in today's day and age, like in the world we live in today, there's so much going on. Mm-hmm. And you just truly never know what is going on in people's lives.
Yep.
And I think that's something that we need to be reminded of. I think we need to constantly be reminded of because it's just so harsh out there. Mm-hmm. And we need to realize that everyone has, even though what they are doing on the outside may seem good and fine, sometimes they are struggling deeply.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a beautiful and, confusing and then suddenly beautiful opening. Yeah. But through the movie, I mean, like Bassel was saying, it's just, the whole thing is poetic. The whole movie is just a poem in and of itself, the way it's presented with every single scene, the way it flows through everything, the way sometimes you come into a character and you don't see them again afterwards. Yeah. You wonder, well, what happened with that person? Well, you don't get to know.
Nope.
And that's just the way of life.
Yes.
And so, yeah, seeing this movie, and now, I've only seen it now twice. I watched it once, and then I watched it yesterday to refresh myself. But it's a really, it's hard to find the words because of how beautiful of a movie it is. It's just, you really have to watch it for yourself to understand the feelings that are behind it. Because, it's just all about the human experience.
Absolutely.
Period. It's just, it's about like
that's well said.
Love in your life, whether it be from your friends or a romantic interest. We're all searching for that love. And that, is just heartbreaking and beautiful. It's a
love story like no other. And it's literally like the sequel says, far away, but so close. That was, like Bassel said, it was very beautifully said. So, since it's had this effect on everyone.
Can I do a follow-up to what Melissa just said? She touched upon something, and I'd like to say, every time I see this film, I think, and I've seen it many times, I think when we're listening to ordinary people in normal life, their lives, I should say, at one level it seems like a stream of consciousness. So the fact that the angels and only the angels are able to listen to these unfiltered thoughts of the people that they're listening to, whether it's someone contemplating the worst in their life, end of life issues, or regular mundane issues, or the worries of whether it's social, economic, personal, they're picking up on this. And the angels you feel that they're empathizing so much with what they're listening. It almost is painful for them because there's only so much they can do.
Right.
And one of the lovely scenes in this film, when we first, or not the first time perhaps, but when we see the two main characters in there, the angel characters, whose character names are Damiel and Cassiel, they're sitting in a car dealership, a brand new car dealership, in a convertible BMW, and they're sharing notes. And I've seen this scene before, and then finally it hit me. Why are they sharing these notes? And then what I thought is that what are they actually saying to each other? Their notes are about ironic moments which they witnessed, or funny things. It's like when you hear someone tell a joke and it stays with you, this is where, this person said this and this person said that. They're referring to their notes, basically irony in life. And one of the wonderful things that the actor Bruno says, who plays Damiel, the angel, I have it written down here. This is a quote. "It's wonderful to live as spirit and testify for all eternity to only what is spiritual in people's minds. But sometimes I get fed up with this spiritual existence. The two angels are questioning their own existence, their purpose, their desires. We can leave it there. People need to watch it.
I hope everyone who's listening has seen the film, because we're talking about it. There's no holding back. This is a brilliant film, and I always say with episodes that if everyone here has seen the film, we can talk about it.
Good.
If you're listening and you haven't watched it, pause right now, go to Criterion Channel or Max, and even if you want to rent it, it's worth the $4. Like, let's be honest, like, it's masterpiece. So just pause the film now, pause the episode now, and go watch the film. You won't regret it. All right. So, Bassel, you've talked about how with each watch you gain something, and during a recent rewatch of the film, you felt differently about the ending. So could you talk a little bit about that and what you gained, what you continuously gain from each watch?
Yes, of course. Let me just say, the way we are often programmed in watching films in the traditional American style of filmmaking, where everything moves at a fast pace. When you watch a European film, to point out the obvious, classical European films as opposed to very contemporary ones, which have very much, in terms of pace, followed the American, good cop, bad cop, fast moving, interesting, but less intellectual, perhaps. In this film, the very beginning part, when I first saw it, and the very end, left me a little bit confused. A part of it, it's like, why is it going on and on and on in the beginning? Why does it seem, okay, I really appreciated the poetry part, but when are we going to get to the heart of the story? That's one of my first thoughts, because again, programmed in the American way of filmmaking, where you introduce characters and they're right at it, they're just...
Right. It does take quite a while to get to the plot line. It's true, because there is a lot of forward before the story. And so, but I think, but still, when you watch the full thing, you understand, it was kind of necessary.
Yes.
It's very necessary, actually, especially in terms of the whole movie. So I totally understand where you're coming from, because especially since it was my first time seeing it too.
Right.
As a basic American film viewer, it definitely was slow moving, but I appreciated it fully in the end.
It's like peeling an onion or peeling something. It takes a while to get to the heart of the onion.
And the film is more place-driven instead of story-driven.
Yes.
So that's, I think, part of it. And also, as you said, films aren't made like this today. So it's only a specific time in film.
I'll reveal, sorry.
Like peeling an artichoke.
Yes. That would be a better example.
Yes.
I'll leave what I thought of the ending towards the end of this interview. So I don't want to do a spoiler alert, or rather, this is a spoiler alert in case you want to watch the film. I don't want to ruin what I really believe the ending is about.
Okay.
Of this film.
All right.
But I'll leave that towards later.
Oh, well, okay. I was just going to ask Melissa about watching it twice within a short period of time. How was that first watch compared to that second watch for you?
I think it was more enjoyable, to be quite honest, because my first watch, as Bassel was saying, it was so slow moving that it did take, like we were saying, it takes a long time to get to the plot. But because of how beautiful of a movie it is, again, like you appreciated it in the end. So my second time watching it, I was able to not only appreciate it more, but kind of like watch more.
Yeah.
Because of course it is a foreign film. You're going to have to read the captions.
Yes.
So because the second time around watching, I was able to, I already kind of understood what was happening. So I was able to actually view more of it and the way it was filmed and how intricate each scene was. And so like detailed, it was really like you were on the subway with these people, on the train, on the train and on the streets. And it was just, it was very realistic and very real life. That didn't feel, it didn't feel like it was a movie, Parts
of it feels like a documentary.
Exactly. Parts of it feels really, truly so real life, which is why it's so much more heartbreaking, in and of itself. So.
Wim Wenders is a documentarian, and he really does fuse several different genres into this, and that definitely does have a documentary feel, and especially considering how much real life influenced the film and the place of the time, so that makes perfect sense. Now, before I start asking some Wings of Desire focused questions, I would like...
If I may say something, you
Sure.
said place and time. For our younger viewers, one of the interesting things in this film is it deals with people struggling still in the post-Second World War era, where one of the characters is walking around wondering where his old square was that is still bombed out. And remember, this was shot in the 80s, so it's long since the war ended, Second World War ended. But it was still sort of in a recovery mode, rebuilding mode, and Berlin in that time was a cut-off city. West Berlin was cut off, and there was a wall in between. So it was surrounded by East Germany, and East Berlin was under the communist control. So there was only limited construction that was going to go on during a long period of time because most of the power in West Germany at that time and money was being devoted in Bonn, not Berlin, which was the then capital of West Berlin.
Yeah. I do have some questions about the historical parts of it. I want to start by reading the IMDb plot summary. An angel tires of his purely ethereal life of merely overseeing the human activity of Berlin's residents and longs for the tangible joys of physical existence when he falls in love with a mortal. Now, this film is set, again, in Germany, West Berlin, before the wall was torn down. And the film, I don't know if you must have noticed this too, it was only set over a course of a few days at most. Yet it captures so much of humanity and so much of the human experience within these few days compared to their centuries-long existence. You know? More than centuries.
More than millennia.
Yeah, we see the beginning of time through this film, which that's fascinating.
There's at some point they talk about how, like, essentially about the fall of Rome.
Yes.
Right? And they're like, oh, well, we weren't around at that point because there weren't enough of us. We weren't in this area. So obviously they were placed somewhere else.
That phrase caught my attention too. I wondered what that meant if there weren't that many angels.
Yes. Well, there's not so many women angels, which Wim did consider making one of the angels a woman.
One of the angels in the library was a woman.
Yes, there was one.
They didn't have any speaking roles.
No.
Unfortunately, which would have been nice to have, but
yes,
when a film is made, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you could rightly say, and you know, we didn't hear the female angel's perspective of things, but nevertheless, you know, the way I viewed it, in answer to your suggestion that this was shot in the time of the film, I think of it as a slice of life.
Yeah.
As sort of a snapshot, if you will, over that short period of time. Here's the city. Here are the troubles that people are suffering from. And it seemed, for the most part, it's a dark, sad city. I had not been to Berlin. The only thing I equated to is Frankfurt. When I first went there in my only time in Frankfurt, I thought it was a dark city, industrial, cold, and not a place I wanted to be in. And unfortunately, south of Germany was a brighter, more happier place. So they remind me a bit of Frankfurt, you know, sort of a dark, miserable place. But it's great for making films, isn't it? When you want to put a point of view. And Berlin had so much history to it, and not just the Second World War.
Right.
It goes back to, and mentioned Napoleon going through. It was a major city.
Yeah. I did wonder about that when they said they weren't around during Napoleon's time around here. I wonder why that was.
Or rather, not many of them.
Not many of them. I wonder why. They don't give much of an explanation for that.
It's a bit of a mystery.
And it's also interesting that they covered up that road that it goes to. Like the open fields that were made in the beginning, they still stand, but the ones that involve Napoleon that they made, or highways or something, they were paved over. They paved over.
Well, I just saw it as the progress in time, you know, how everything changes from, you know, a stream becoming a river.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, a primitive road becomes paved. You know, society moves on. History is paved over.
That's exactly what I was thinking of it, yeah.
The only thing I picked up from, not many of us were around during those, this is when the angels are talking. I picked it up as if there were perhaps more angels, maybe they could have prevented war and conflict.
That's what I kind of thought at
perhaps
first, was
that's
that
what it's
maybe
inferring.
that's why there are more around now, is because they were needed more. But that's kind of where I thought of it, was that there weren't that many of them then, because they didn't know how necessary their presence would be.
Yeah.
You know, because especially throughout the movie, you see the angels going to people, comforting them, bringing them out of those negative thoughts. And I'm sure it was
right.
I mean, even in today's day, it's like we understand the need for therapy more.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's things like that. We didn't understand those things at that point, and there weren't that many therapists 50 years ago. And today there are so many more, because we understand that we need them more. There's a need for them.
Yes. That's a good comparison analysis there. I like that.
One of the things I thought about watching this film again this morning, actually, is how much power do these angels have? And I wrote down, they have some power of influence, instilling hope, positivity, especially like the man on the train where he's thinking all these negative thoughts. And the Cassiel, I believe, character, angel, he puts his arm on his shoulder or his hand on his shoulder, and this positivity, hits this man, and he's suddenly feeling better.
He suddenly sits up
like that.
Stronger.
But we also see they cannot prevent the inevitable when it happens. And, and especially in some sad cases. So limited power, perhaps. So they're taking in all this negativity. They're seeing what human beings are going through. And later on, of course, I'm sure perhaps one of the questions would be, why would one go beyond immortality and take the next step? Perhaps one of your questions might be there. I don't know.
Well, you bring up a good point about the man on the train and how he feels the power within, and his thoughts change. He even remarks about it in his thoughts, like, oh, what's happening? Something's changing. One moment that really stuck out to me was when the guy was in the car accident. And he's thinking of all these, I have it all written down. My notes are...
all these negative things. I should have done this. I should have done that. And I should have done this. And then all of a sudden, what's his name?
Damiel.
His name escaped me. And all of a sudden, Damiel comes up and, touches him. And suddenly he thinks of the happy things that he experienced in his life.
Yes.
It's a sad scene because the character talks about himself. I am dying. I smell of petrol. Nobody
ever seen me. They're looking at me.
And these people are staring at him, not doing anything.
They're just watching.
Right.
That part was very reminiscent of today's day and age, to be quite honest, of how we just kind of gawk at things.
People don't want to be involved necessarily.
Nobody wants to get involved. We just want to wait until somebody else does it. We're like, oh, well, somebody else will take care of it.
Right.
It's that
And finally, one character does walk up.
Yeah.
At the end, before the scene cuts away.
And the very end. But that scene really was rough too. Because again, it's so relevant.
Yeah.
But that's reality.
It is. It's reality. It's how human.
Reality is rough.
Yes. In this day and age, someone would be on their phones taking pictures, recording this person on...
instead of helping them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the one that you alluded to, I think of the most heartbreaking and not being able to entirely help people is probably one of the most famous scenes, if not the most famous scene, of the younger man on the ledge, and he jumps to his death. But the last question is, why? He doesn't fully know why. And I know it's somewhere in my notes. I have 21 pages.
Oh my goodness.
So I bet I can find it.
Well, clearly he's a very unhappy person, like most people who commit suicide. But at the very last moment, he's questioning, should I even do that? That's what I picked up. Of course, he's already jumped by then. And from what I understand from a documentary, totally unconnected to this film, very interesting documentary about people who committed suicide from the...
jumping from the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yes. Yes. You've seen that, perhaps.
I've seen parts of it. It's hard for me to watch things like that.
It's very painful to watch.
Yeah, it's even painful to think about, but...
Yes, you're right.
The last thing they think about.
One real person who survived, at least more than one, they said they regretted their decision.
As soon as they jumped.
Yeah, you remember that? So,
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of that movie, like because you find that in everyday life too. Like there are people who genuinely they don't feel the love around them, but they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like, the people that were able to be influenced by the angels. They genuinely, they really needed it and they really wanted it. But sometimes there are people who have just nothing left inside of them and they can no longer even want that around them. So they can't they can't feel that. I think that's kind of where the angels, they're not able to connect to everybody because not everybody is open to that connection.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the writing, it's what I love about this as an amateur writer myself. What Wim Wenders did, and his associate writer as well, his name escapes me, is the little bits of detail he puts in, including the person who is on the ledge, he's on the roof, people are yelling towards him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear what they're saying. We can imagine that, don't do it or whatever.
Yeah.
And some of his thoughts were, I got this jacket on sale.
Right, I got this jacket.
It's a good bargain. It's got a hole in the pocket.
Why did I wear the red socks?
Yes.
Black shoes. How stupid.
But it's so true, right? Our stream of consciousness is when we're thinking about this, when we're driving, maybe I wore the wrong shirt. Maybe I should have done this. But taken in the context of a very serious subject, it makes the characters more real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he suggests that he's feeling calm as he's doing it, but his thoughts are quite frantic. They're going fast, thinking about the socks. Like, why red socks with black shoes? Too stupid. It's foggy and cold. I put on a sweater, afraid of the cold. This is a good jacket, a bargain, just the pockets torn.
Mm-hmm.
She gave it to me. Why is there gravel on this roof? So it doesn't fly away? How silly. So there's more. It's like frantic thoughts, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad you wrote notes about that one.
oh,
Yes.
The she gave it to me kind of part, the she gave it to me. And you wonder, who is it? Who gave it to him?
Yeah.
His girlfriend, his mother, his grandmother, what female figure in his life.
I wonder if it's the same. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
He goes on to say about a letter. He left a letter, like a suicide note for her. I hope she didn't read it now.
Oh, she hasn't read it yet.
She hasn't read it yet. So I assume that's the same woman that's going to get the letter. But it's also reminding me of a moment where there was a woman under a bridge or something, and she was in the middle of this busy highway. She couldn't cross the street, and she's like, oh, I miss this guy. She says the name. It'll take me a moment to find it, but it's in here. But he's no longer around. Like she says, it's like almost, I think maybe I don't know if she was fiending or something, and she was like, I miss somebody. He would be able to be right now. That's why he's dead, is because he was too good at it or something like that. Yeah.
She says something like that. And you can tell it was like, she was definitely kind of like on something, because she says, if somebody sees me here, I'll be kicked out of school or something like that, I think.
Oh, yes. I remember that scene.
I don't know if she was
I think they're implying that she might be a part-time prostitute
a sex worker on the street.
Sex worker trying to raise money so she can get out of town. That's what I picked up on that.
And she says something, I think it was Klaus, or I wish someone was here to make me right, or something like, that part definitely. And it was right before he saw Marion for the first time, wasn't it?
Probably around that. It wasn't much towards the end.
No, it was near the beginning of
middle-ish.
I felt the writer-director was trying to show different aspects of
humanity,
of humanity, and the people who are suffering, financially, economically, whatever you want to say, and at the same time contrasting it with people shopping for a car in a dealership, an expensive vehicle.
Yes.
The contrast of that.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned the line that I was going to attach to this question. I'll read it again, and it's kind of perfect you brought it back to the car showroom scene, because it's one of the most important first scenes of the film for us to understand what's going on, because that's where he first confesses his longing to become a human.
Yes.
By saying, it's wonderful to live as a spirit and testify for all eternity to only what is spiritual in people's minds. This reminded me of something Antonio Banderas pondered while reading the script for Pain and Glory, which I originally was going to pose to James Miller in my recent interview with him, but it was cut for time. Antonio questioned, what are we? Are we the things that we have done and we have said? Or are we the things that we want to say and we never did? All the things that we wanted to do and never did. Since we have been granted access into the minds of others through the angels, what do you think is most representative of who we are?
We are different things for everyone. Yeah. I think that's, and always we will be different for everybody. And it just depends. Obviously, you are who you want to be in yourself, inside of yourself. But I think, a lot of us are perceived in so many different ways, Mm-hmm. A lot of people... This is a very hard question.
It's a fascinating question.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because again, like we're all perceived in such different ways, and it's hard even for individuals to like figure out who they are in and of themselves, like you said, because of are we what we have said out loud, or are we our inner thoughts?
Yeah,
or a combination of them all.
Correct.
And we are our actions as well.
Yes,
I think.
Humans are such complicated creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This film captures it better than anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just, how people perceive us, how we perceive ourselves changes from day to day, moment to moment.
And how we perceive each other changes from moment to moment. How I perceive other people. Sometimes we meet people and we think, oh, they weren't very nice. And then we realize they are genuinely nice people. Yeah. But the first day we met them, they were having a terrible day.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what we are, who we are from day to day, because we're something different every day.
Yes, that's a good point.
I was in an interesting conversation very recently in which someone told me what we believe to be true may not necessarily be an actual fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that stopped me in that conversation for a little bit, thinking, well, the real facts, if we're not talking about politics or certain things like that, that is so divisive. If we're talking about things in nature, things about personalities of people, how we perceive others is one thing, and what they may actually be is completely different. And the challenge is, in reality, in real life, as in film that depicts real life, if it's done well, is trying to understand the difference between those two and trying to understand what the artist who created this film, I use that in a broad sense of the word, artist, director, writer, producer, the ones who are actually picking the variables to make a beautiful work of art, what are they trying to say to us?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do we understand? I've written notes, you've written notes. Do we really understand what's going on in the mind of the writer? Maybe not. But some of the time, perhaps, because these are, in a sense, theories. I believe we are right.
I think we're always right.
We are always right.
And that's just me.
It's all subjective, all perspective, point of view.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a beautiful scene between the two, they're trying to contemplate life. They've been there. There is reference to them being there for eternity.
Beginning of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, beginning of time. So there could be a slight error in the script when they were there. So many of them around Napoleonic era, Roman era, I don't know. But they were there for a very long time. They've seen so much. And at the heart of that, they no longer just want to see. They want to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes this film amazing. When one of the characters decides to take the final step and become a mortal person.
Mm-hmm.
But he only does that when something catches his attention.
But how many millennia has he been around? And then all of a sudden, this one mortal being catches his, notice. And I think that's just like an interesting part of it, to think like he's been around for centuries on centuries. And all of a sudden he sees this one woman suddenly. And he's just, I'm done being an angel. He just wants to be. One of the lines that really hit me that he said after he saw Marion the first time and decided he wanted to be immortal was, he said, I just want to be a part of the history of the world, if only just to hold an apple. And
yeah,
that's not this, exact line, but the part where he said only just to hold an apple,
Mm-hmm.
that part really resonated with me in a way that again, that I can't really explain, because I feel like it's just this bigger picture
mm-hmm.
type thing that we take so much for granted. We take everything for granted. We take
mm-hmm.
each other, the food that we eat, the fact that we get to have an apple every day if we would like.
Yeah.
And there are people in parts of the world that are not able to. And that kind of just struck me for a moment too.
Yeah.
Especially just thinking about, relating it to like today's world. It's just, it really made me feel like, wow, we take so much for granted, even just holding the apple.
Absolutely. I mean, this film is all about like simple pleasures, and his appreciation for the world is stuff that we all take for granted. Like there was one quote about, I have a whole section on this. Let's see.
One of the things along those same lines is the angel Damiel. He wants to experience this thing, the feeling, the senses. He doesn't have the same senses as mortals. He wants to be able to smell things, to touch things, to feel the cold, to eat food.
See the colors.
Colors, and that's one of the references I had here. Do angels just see things in black and white? It's kind of a fun technique. And the one triggering thing that seemed to make him fall in love is when he sees the Marion character, the trapeze artist in a circus, and she is wearing wings, and there's the ironic theme and reference to the title, Wings of Desire.
Yes.
And it's beautiful because he falls in love with this woman and he listens to all her words or her,
all her inner thoughts and her
inner thoughts.
Yeah.
Her stream of consciousness. He sees the pictures and she feels that she is lost, that she hasn't found anyone to love in a long time.
Yeah.
And at one time, while he's a technique that the director uses, while he's looking at pictures and things, objects that she has, she disrobes. And he looks behind and he touches her shoulder. And then he feels shame. And he walks backwards. That he's done something he perhaps should not be.
Yeah.
It's a private moment which he's having that she doesn't know he's there.
This film is about voyeurism. And voyeurism, we can talk about Rear Window and how are we encouraged to watch? Are we encouraged to, move back? And
do we participate or not?
I feel like part of the shame was that like he doesn't touch people just for pleasure.
Yeah.
That's not something that he does, like, or is supposed to do, like when he touches someone, it's to bring them comfort and warmth. And for some reason he sees her and he just wants to touch her.
And he feels something towards her that is different.
And it's not to bring her comfort, not to bring her some joy. It's just because he wants to touch her.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like kind of where the shame came from, is that like he was, almost shocked at himself.
At the same time, he cannot feel anything.
Right.
And there's the irony.
There's that human feeling that he has in that moment of wanting to connect. And that was a big moment. And speaking about, he's been around for, the beginning of time, and how this one woman makes him interested in becoming human. Again, that's part of why it's being shot over a short time span is so interesting, because he meets her and then nearly within a day or two, he's like, I'm going to switch to be human. I think that's so interesting, because was there no other woman any other time,
That's a good question.
Maybe.
When you know, Yeah, that's right.
And I like the phrase he uses. And he tells his friend, Cassiel, I'm going to take the plunge. I heard that somewhere.
Yes, that's a phrase I learned earlier today.
Take the plunge into becoming, essentially referring to becoming a human being. And the footprints in the soil. That's when his friend is shocked and realizes he's already taken the step. And then through the use of the camera movement, we see him carrying him.
Yeah.
And it's that final stage, saying goodbye to your friend, taking him into the mortal world. And that's a whole adventure in itself.
Yes. And the way he portrayed that with the footsteps and then the camera work just like moving over a little bit and then coming back. And then we see him in Cassiel's arms. And then he soon is going to be woken up as a human. He's in color. The soundscapes are reality, ones that we would...
The ambient sounds are different.
Yes.
Right.
And then Shield of Armor comes dropping in.
That's hilarious.
That part... Where did that shield of armor come from?
From heaven.
From heaven?
It had to be.
That's what I figured, but I was like, what? Where did it? How did that? Okay, and I just go with it.
If I can just back up for a second, the significance of the footsteps in the sand are twofold. One is becoming immortal.
Right.
Yeah.
But to explain to our audience, there are East German guards there. So if you were in that no-go zone area, you most likely would be shot.
No man's land.
No man's land. So that's the fear that his friend, the angel, is thinking, oh, they can soon see him. I'll take him across through the wall to the West Berlin side. Because they were walking all over all over the place. They don't care that there's a no-go zone until you're a mortal person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the guards look at the ground that they see, and they don't see anyone. It's like a bit of a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
The suit of armor, do you think it was his original suit of armor that he wore in the beginning of time? And that, the gods were like, well, here's what you were born with. Go ahead and take it with you.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because in the screen test for the film, when they were figuring out the costumes for the film, that was originally what he was going to wear, the suit of armor.
Ah.
And we kind of see it in this dream sequence with Marion.
Right. She sees him in her dream.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his original angel wear.
Yes, angel wear, yes.
Angel wear.
And then the costumes they chose, they're very samurai inspired. The coats, the long black coats. To me, I think of Alain Delon in Les Samurai.
Interesting.
Have either of you seen Les Samurai?
Yeah.
No?
I'm not sure if that's the one I saw. I saw so many. But let me just talk about the costumes for a second.
Yeah.
When I saw the armor, I saw it as maybe it's an antique to mortals.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw it as that's what every angel who chooses to go gets one of those for some sort of protection. I didn't see it as the uniform du jour. I saw it. You got to have some protection because arrows could be coming your way in ancient times,
Right.
Of course, now it's totally impractical, but it has value. And there's a little bit of a joke there when Peter Falk, who plays himself, tells him, well, 30 years ago, I got $500 for that. And what did you get? 200 marks, which at that time, pre-Euro currency was very little. I used marks once. It was very little. I can't remember really the exchange rate in the 80s, but it wasn't much. Maybe $50.
Oh.
But he got ripped off. It happened.
It got ripped off. It happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
The introduction of Peter Falk. I haven't really researched how they got Peter Falk. I know I had read some reference that they knew he was in town, my guess promoting some American film or something. Mm-hmm. And they asked him if he could be in it.
Yeah.
And so think of it from a writer/filmmaker point of view. I know we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but if you're lucky enough as a director to get a known personality in your film, just from a purely business point of view, it will open up add so many viewers all over the world, including the United States and Western Europe, where the show, Columbo, was still running, big hit. Mm-hmm. This detective, absent-minded detective who seems to solve all the problems of all the criminals, finds out the criminals are. To get him playing himself, and this is probably one of the best roles I've ever seen him in, as a serious actor who plays that. Of course, there's a lot of comical stuff he throws in there that I really suspect were improv to the large degree. It has that feeling of improv.
It did definitely for some scenes. And it took me a minute. I mean, obviously, you don't really understand the reveal. For me, I didn't understand until...
Which part of the reveal?
That he used to be an angel.
An angel, yes.
Until that point where he says, oh, I traded mine in for $500. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's when he realized, oh, that's why he can sense them.
Yeah.
That's why he can sense them and speak to them.
Yes.
And know that they're there. Yeah. So that part was really interesting for me, because at first when he's introduced in the movie, you kind of get the feeling that he might be a little bit of a jerk for me.
That's a good
in the very beginning when he's introduced, and then you kind of realize he just kind of is a little bit hardened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's I was going to ask about. We first see him on the film set. He's talking to a kid who's telling him about a story about Hitler and there being doubles, to which Peter says is not plausible. Do you think since he's become human for 30 years, he's been more humanized and brought down to earth, making him not as optimistic as other angels?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's where he's kind of he's seen the worst of it, and he knows the worst of it.
Yeah.
For fact.
For 30 years at that point, so in the 50s.
Uh-huh.
He was an angel during World War II.
And before.
Beginning of time.
Beginning of time. So he's seen the worst of humanity that humanity can offer. So at that point, you're just kind of, like I said, just hardened to it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting thing in this, you can see the same scene and pick up something completely different. When I saw that never crossed my mind, which is very clever what both of you just said. What crossed my mind is, here's a famous actor chit-chatting about total nonsense with a kid. The kid is talking total seemingly nonsense. Who knows? It's irrelevant. But when you have a discussion with a kid, you let them go on for a bit. Whether you believe them or not is irrelevant. Anyone who's been on a set, you realize these meaningless conversations take place.
Yeah.
So that's how my interpretation, before you are needed. And here, there's a reference like, I've been waiting around here for hours. When are we going to shoot this thing? And they keep apologizing. But this is the kind of chit-chat that happens while you're waiting on the set to be called to your scene. And the whole part in there, there's a lot of irony in that sort of scene that he's supposed to be in, which we really don't quite see, which is a shame, really.
The part with the hats.
Yeah, but the thing with the hat, him trying a hat, and the conversation, that seemed like a fun improv, partly, what his assistant is giving him hats to wear, and he's telling her what he looks like in each one of them. But what caught my attention is these extras, so-called extras, of both the ones dressed up as refugees, prisoners, next to the Nazis.
Right.
And they're all either smoking, socializing together. Talk about hitting ironies in an area where 40 years earlier, they would have been killing each other, or one would be killing the other. And it just goes to the excellent writing in this film, where it doesn't matter what the scene is about. It's how when you assemble people together, and then you've got this outsider, Peter Falk, and you sense a bit of his own curiosity, because he likes to sketch people's faces. Oh, this guy is suspicious looking. He's got these deep things under his eyes, deep wrinkles or whatever.
Raccoon eyes.
Raccoon eyes. I thought that was funny. And then, the casting was totally amazing.
Oh, yeah.
When you sometimes you see a filmmaker, this character can't pull it off. This person knows somebody and got in this film.
Right.
But everyone in this film seemed to fit somehow, including the extras who did an amazing job. He's at one time, Peter Falk, again, playing himself in this film. He's sketching this German woman who's in costume, and he refers to her. She has a big nose, whatever. And she's wondering, does he even know what he's doing? It's like,
I wonder if he'll let me have the picture.
Yes, the stream of consciousness. I love that. These are the
back and forth stream.
I loved that.
That's what makes a film worth watching.
Yes. Yeah. I do wonder. I don't think he gives her the picture, because he did make a notice about how no one else sees them. So it's kind of sad. And part of why,
But she didn't ask for it, did she? Maybe
she was thinking it.
She was thinking it. He didn't hear that.
But we cut away before.
We do. We cut away, so we don't know.
It's up to interpretation.
Correct.
That's true.
Talking about the improvisation feel of the film, would it surprise you both that they made this film without a script?
In its entirety?
Yeah.
It would surprise me, because there are some parts, the very poetic ones, the interaction between the two angels, Damiel and Cassiel, and between Damiel and Marion, it definitely was scripted. I don't unless you're given a guideline, you're in love with this person, what are you going to do?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe they gave them a rough outline and said, well, what would you say in this situation?
I have not done enough research, so I'm interested in your perspective.
What happened was Wim reached out to Peter Falk. That's the other writer you were referring to earlier.
Oh, yes.
I hope I'm saying his name right. But he reached out to do the scripts, and he's listening to Wim's pitch, and he's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. He's working on his own novel. Cut to a few weeks later, Wim's crushed, but he gets letters from Peter saying, I'll write little bits for you to use, little dialogues to use for your scenes. So Wim would use those in written letters, getting, over a course of a few weeks, I guess. And he had a wall that he would have like places on one wall, and then a list of scenes and what they want to capture on another. So he'd match back and forth the places to the scenes. And often late at night, they would have meetings and go over what will be filmed the next day. it was all very quick and
You mean they had some sort of storyboard, but they didn't know?
Storyboard, I guess, but it was just like a wall of places and
locations.
Locations, places,
right.
And then ideas, scene ideas, what they want to capture, people they want to capture. So going back and forth, matching the two, it's very interesting. There was no set script, which is...
What instructions did you give to the key actors?
Well, that's actually another thing. So the main actors, Otto and Bruno, were not so pleased in the beginning because...
Right. It's hard.
It's hard. How do you direct them? And there's no backstory to these characters. So there's no like troubled parent relationship or anything like that.
How do you portray your character?
They're just kind of floating.
If you don't know much about them, you have to guess.
Yes, you have to guess. But he knew that they looked at humans with love, which is kind of how it feels throughout the film with the camera sometimes.
Yes.
When the camera's the point of view of the angels. But those two, Otto and Bruno, had been friends for a long time. They had worked together over the course of 20 years doing stage shows together.
I did not know that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, of course they have to be close friends. And what a incredible casting choice to cast two close friends.
Especially if there wasn't a set script, it's so much easier to speak with someone that you are close to.
Yes, there's a comfort there. You know each other very well. Let's see. Oh man. It's amazing how much there is to talk about.
I know.
We're low on time. Okay.
We can talk about the love story some more.
Talk about the love story. I do also want to talk about the children versus adults. That's a big part of the film. Like, the children can see the angels, adults can't. There's this wonderment that remains in the children that is not in...
But I seemed to notice only some of the children could see the angels. Not all of them, right? It seemed like in the beginning, one of the beginning scenes when he comes across this small group of children like playing by the wall, and then you see this one singular child, and he's saying to himself, oh, well, I'm in my own little world, you know. But he can see the angel, but it didn't seem like the children before noticed him at all.
Bassel, did you pick up on that?
I did pick up when they were riding the train, the metro in Berlin, and I believe it was Cassiel, and he passed by an immigrant and his son, who was very young. There was no reaction from the son. So there was definitely times when they could not see the angel. I don't know if that was intentional or accidental when they're shooting, because it sounds like this was done in a hurry too. It's very hard to work with children.
Yeah, this is true.
And animals, I'm told.
Same thing.
That's how the saying goes. Yes. Just picked that up the other day, huh?
But the thing with that's right. I just picked it up. The thing with the children, it's another one of these little nuggets of mystery and creativity that it leaves. A lot of this film is obvious where it's leading the audience to, questioning everything, stream of consciousness, issues of love, the humanity, the sadness, the struggling working poor, the affluent a little bit, you know, and how do these people interact with each other, and how do the angels react to these various parts of society. And then, you know, then you see the whole thing with the children is still a bit of mystery. Why? I know about the fables, you know, of children can see angels and all that. Was the director trying to tell us more in that? Is there a hidden message that I did not pick up? Maybe, maybe not. And, you know, it's like, if I can segue over to thing that caught my attention. I've seen it before, of course, this film, but we notice a larger presence of the angels in the library.
Yes.
Why? Is it a place they seek for all the answers, the questions of their own reason of existence? Perhaps they're reading books at times. They're listening to others. They are trying to take it in, including one of the characters that goes from the library, goes to the square, and he remembers it long before it was bombed during the war. The Platz, I can't pronounce it.
Potsdamer Platz.
Yes, thank you. Your German is better than mine. But this character, I love this character.
Yes.
His stream of consciousness is perhaps one of the most powerful ones.
Yes.
He is a poet. And he refers to himself as the storyteller towards one of the final scenes when we last see him. And in the credits, it refers to him as Homer.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's the storyteller for mankind. That character is one of the most important characters that I think is overlooked sometimes, but I don't think people recognize his role throughout the film. Like you said, he explains that he's a storyteller at the very end. But throughout the whole film, at least for me, when I've watched it the first 2-3 times, I didn't quite know his role. I was a little confused by him, but he's apparently an immortal storyteller that lives in the library. And
Mortal or immortal?
From what I've heard, my research, it sounds like he's immortal.
Immortal, yes. One of the lines, if I may, that Homer, the older poet, traveler, whatever you want to call him, one of the quotes that I wrote down of his is, "Where are my heroes? Where are my children?"
Yeah.
He is a survivor. It could be seen as personal children that may have died, whatever, or totally dissociating themselves in the modern society from the father figure. But it also could be, when he refers to the heroes, where are all his friends? The plaza is not there anymore. The places he used to pick up his newspaper and, is not there anymore. The place he smoked a cigar and had a coffee is not there anymore.
Yeah.
And at some point, I think, he talks about how his voice is gone. The storyteller's voice is gone, And I was unsure of really what that meant because, of course, you don't hear him actually use his voice at all. So does he mean
That's a good point.
literally that his voice is gone? Because he during that poem that he tells, he speaks of how his voice is gone and that he's been basically brought down to being this man on the street that plays the little music box. So that part really made me think about what really his story really, really was. So him being like an immortal man, I guess that would make sense in a way. If he's been around for that long of a time, maybe his actual voice really is gone and he's no longer able to tell those stories.
I love that you brought up the voice because there's a point in which he says he's concerned for humanity and he looks around hopeless, trying to find Potsdamer Platz. But he continues to tell the story of mankind in his sing-song voice to remain hopeful, which I think is so important to this film because there's so much heartbreak that we witness and personal moments that we wouldn't have gotten access to without the angel's eye being the camera. And he questions, should I give up? But he keeps going, but he says it in the sing-song voice. At the very least, he tries to be hopeful in his voice. And it's kind of like, if you smile, that'll put you in a better mood.
Right. You can at least be hopeful for yourself.
Yes.
Essentially, if for anybody, then do it for you.
He keeps the hope alive, which makes me wonder, because he's concerned about the disconnect of people. Can you imagine Homer telling the story of present day with advanced technology, ways to communicate, especially with social media? Do you think he would be as or more concerned with disconnection amongst humanity today?
Definitely. And unfortunately, I don't
think people would listen to him.
Yeah, that was about to say a big chunk of the population would just ignore him. Some of the greatest philosophers and writers at the time, nobody reads the material. Historians, I read a lot of history books, and I'm trying to discover the things that we were never taught in school. And a lot of it is ancient history.
Yeah.
And I still come across. Of course, I'm off topic here. You have to excuse me. Across people who ask me, where is this country before? It's like the lack of knowledge and curiosity about the world at one level. At the same time, curiosity about the very meaning of life. How do you interpret what we're doing? Our own stream of consciousness, isn't it crying for knowledge? Isn't it crying for to be appreciated, to have a sense of purpose in this life? It's not just a movie.
No.
This film, perhaps, it represents a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And let's see. So it's important. You mentioned you wanted to talk about the love story. So what was it about the love story that you especially wanted to discuss? Was it the last scene?
Yeah. Yes. The way it unfolds, okay, he notices, of course, there's the fun directing aspect of Wim Wenders is we're introduced to the Marion character. at some point, maybe not in the first scene, I can't remember, she's wearing the wings, and the wings are a hassle to her. She's telling...
She hates them, these chicken wings.
Yeah, and he's watching this, and he's thinking, oh, what a beautiful woman. And he's listening to all the things she's saying. And, it's funny when she's walking away from a bad practice that they had, and one of the characters says, an angel has fallen. He looks behind, He
thinks they can see him.
He thinks it's him, and he holds his chest. Oh, no, they haven't noticed me. And then as he listens to her, what she's saying in the caravan, the trailer, whatever it is, he starts to empathize with all her feelings. And in a sense, perhaps her own feelings are also representative of him wanting to fall in love. And maybe he has before, maybe not, but a lot of things resonate with him. Moving on towards the final scene, in previous times, until the last 2 times that I saw this film, I didn't understand, and it kind of bothered me why her monologue, Marion's monologue, was so long, and it seemed rather dull to me initially. I thought, that's a long conversation. What is she talking about?
Not a conversation, it's a monologue.
A monologue.
He's just listening.
It's a monologue, and he doesn't say anything. But a previous time, not this last time, I even noticed something else I had not seen. But I finally noticed this sort of a bookend to part of the original poetry in the film. Mm-hmm. Who does she represent? I made some references here. At times, Marion is very theatrical, and her performances there is not unlike a play or an opera. Wings of Desire, I'll go a step further, perhaps can be turned into an opera because it is perhaps a play on stage. It could be a play on stage that is on film currently. When she goes to the bar and Bruno removes his ironic-looking outer coat, which is multicolored and looks like something you accidentally...
It's quilted, yeah.
And he's wearing something plain, very Berlin-esque, dark. And Bruno anticipated her arrival. Did he sense that? Did he will her over? How did he know she was coming? He had the glass of wine ready for her, and he gives it to her. It's almost like the chalice, right?
Yes.
The golden chalice. And she knows who picks up drinks from total strangers. She picks it up, she drinks it and puts it down and delivers her monologue. Mm-hmm. Marion, is she a metaphor? Is it not just about loneliness of society, the search for a higher meaning of life and love? Is she a metaphor also for Mother Earth? We see references to the sea, to the river in the very beginning, the poetry.
Right.
I wanted the stream to be a river. This is in the beginning of the film. The river a torrent, and this puddle to be the sea. Who does she represent? Is it a film about rebirth and hope and love from the city's history and darkness and sad past, in a sense? There's a line that she says, I know what no angel knows, how to become human.
Oh, the letter, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. That's Bruno's character. I'm mixing up. At the very end of the film, we see him writing. So we finally know who's writing in the notebook.
Full circle. Mom.
Yes. So Damiel, the angel, is writing, I know what no angel knows now, how to become a human, because he now can smell, he can taste, everything is a new sensation, including the sensation of truly falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says it's the amazement of humans that made him become human.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. He's been around for, again, the beginning of
eternity.
And he still has this wonderment of humans. And even when he becomes a human, he's still in awe of them. That's a really beautiful thing when all the adults are, they're grounded in reality. They don't look up at the sky like the children do. They're focused in on their inner troubles, all the problems in their lives and sadness, and especially in this area of the world, Berlin being divided. What a time to capture this film. I mean, it's a time capsule.
I think, too, with that part with where it was located during that time and how, dark and dreary it all is, I think that's also kind of the message of the story, is that the world is so dark and so hard, all of the time, most of the time. And it's so important to find people that you can be soft with, that can bring that love and softness to your world, because not everybody can do that. But that's why, like, Damiel, he wasn't able to find that with everybody.
No.
So finally he meets this person, and all of a sudden he feels it.
Love can be elusive.
Yes.
For eternity.
For eternity.
And they're setting the stage for the positive of what's to come.
Right.
It's them. They're deciding. They're taking it in their own hands, their love story. And, the wall comes down a few years later. And
right. It came down in 89. If I can just, I did not know until today. I was reading actually a lot of the credits.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it they shot in East Berlin. So I'm wondering if they actually used with extreme permission that No Man's Land. Otherwise, they had to recreate it.
They had to recreate it. They had to recreate the wall.
Wow.
Because they couldn't.
The East Germans, yeah.
They got a.
This was during the Cold War. So.
Yes, during the Cold War. They got a few sneaky shots in East Berlin, but they couldn't film there, especially because there was no script. That especially was out of the question. So I don't know which shots were in East Berlin. I'm so curious, but I couldn't find anything about it. But it was mostly filmed West Germany, West Berlin.
Maybe when you interview Wim Wenders, you can get that.
Let's speak that into existence, shall we?
Yes.
Can I say something in the interest of time about the music, the neo-punk concert?
The Nick Cave.
The Nick Cave, famous character in real life. I believe he's still around.
Oh, yeah.
He's still around. I think he's still around. And, it's kind of, I refer to it as the neo-punk concert. I've been to concerts in Europe where they're kind of like that. It's kind of interesting, People are just listening and they're moving around. So the contrast also in the public between, you see the Damiel character, he's wearing a hat that looks like from the 60s. And you've got the punk rock hair.
The big hair and the makeup.
And the Marion character is wearing all the right stuff for the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And the hair, the big hair, the beautiful hair. She's just lovely. And, and it's interesting. When he's listening, the other character, Cassiel, he appears on stage a couple of times in that he's listening to the music. And from that, my guess is he's not just affected by the music. He's also possibly missing his old friend.
Yeah.
Who's now away. He can no longer see him. It's a beautiful film, and people should see it if they haven't.
Yes, they should definitely see it. And I think Cassiel wants to become human, and I believe that's what happens in the sequel.
Yes.
There is a sequel?
There is a sequel.
Far Away, So Close.
Well, then.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that. I haven't seen it.
I definitely hoped Cassiel would become a human, but I can see where he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
It wasn't his time.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to cloud your judgment, and perhaps you could do a follow-up.
Oh.
Yes. There's so many more questions I could pose, so many good things about this film to discuss, but thank you both so much for joining me today. This was a great conversation that I have thoroughly enjoyed. When we could have kept going for another hour.
Oh, definitely.
I know.
Or two.
Or two more.
Or eternity.
Or eternity, that's right, yes.
To the end of time.
Exactly like the Nick Cave song.
That's right.
I was thrilled to have discussed such an incredible film with each of you, compañeros. So thank you both for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. I really enjoyed it. Compañero.
Compañero. Now, Bassel, you have a short film, Dances of the Dead, and it will be out this year, right? What kind of...
Yes, it's actually a feature film.
Feature film. Oh, I'm sorry.
And a large part of the community participated in this over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to completing it. And we will hopefully have a showing locally in which all of the people involved in it, our independent film community, is welcome to come, including you too.
Yes.
I'll be there.
I've been waiting for this film, so I'm excited.
Thank you.
Now, Melissa, you're an actress, as we pointed out in the intro. Do you have any projects that you're in the works for, or something coming out that you want to proclaim?
Nothing particularly in the works right now. So I am a free agent. Anyone looking for an actor, dancer, singer extraordinaire, call me.
Yeah. Where can they reach you? Is it Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram. I'm Evil Sea Monkey.
Yes.
Yes.
Love the username.
That's the one. Yes, you can find me on Facebook, Melissa Lindsey.
Yes, everyone. I will keep you all updated on Bassel's film when it's released, and reach out to Melissa. She's an excellent actress. Now, is there a film recommendation, a line from a film, really anything you'd like to conclude our episode with today?
Melissa?
Oh, not me.
If I was going to recommend something, I'd really highly recommend for people who are perhaps some of our newer filmmakers or new viewers of film would like to see, go to the old films from the 60s, 40s. There's some amazing films. David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia is shot in such an amazing way, and it was intended originally for the large screen where you see things in a way you cannot see on a small screen, especially in your smartphone.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's looking at parts of the film. Again, it's a multi-layered film that deals with politics, history, and the characters of Lawrence himself as he goes through a certain transformation psychologically. But it's also like, in a sense, looking at a painting when you see it on a large screen. So I highly recommend that these films be projected. Even if you live at home, you never leave at home, get a projector, a video projector, and find a big white wall.
I'll have to. I haven't seen it. Yeah, there's so many movies I haven't seen.
Oh, of course, you've got other classics as well as Casablanca.
My Casablanca is
Of course, the definition of a classic.
that one I've definitely.
And The Third Man,
Oh, The Third Man.
which takes place in Vienna.
Oh, yes.
The storyline takes place in Vienna. I highly recommend that one. It was by Orson Welles and very creative film and lots of shadows. It's essentially one of the best film noir films ever, I think.
Yes, and one of the great character introductions for Orson Welles' character still shocks me whenever I see it.
Yes, it's great.
I'll recommend Paris, Texas, because it's up there with my favorite Wenders films. It's tough between which two. I'm probably going to give the edge to Wings of Desire, but Wim Wenders has said it's the opposite to Wings of Desire. So having just recently rewatched Wings of Desire, it would be good to compare the two. And
I'd like to see it. It's been many years since I've seen it. I've actually forgotten it, so I'd like to see it.
Bassel and Melissa, thank you again so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Special thanks to Bassel Jadaa, Melissa Lindsey, Taylor Donaldson, Caitlin Fitzpatrick, and Cecilia Mueller. This episode was recorded on May 1st, 2025.